G'day, people. Sorry, we were a fraction late here. This is my fault this time around. I've got two lives I'm doing today, so it's kind of thrown me out a little bit. Um, so just bear with me. That's better. All right. So today, I'm really excited. We're going to be sitting down and having a bit of a chat to Dustin Lee. So he's normally kind of like on my side of the table, working the machine that sits behind Gary Vee or Gary Vaynerchuck. And as I put in the comments, if you don't know who he is, then you've probably been under a rock somewhere, but Google Gary. That'll be a nice shock to your system. He's just a good straight talking American guy who's been killing it and been in business a long time and has just heaps and heaps of advice to give. And he's put together so many great series, including Tea with Gary Vee, which was where I first met Coach Jay, who I talk about regularly, and that sort of, I guess, inspired me to actually start doing all of this madness. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting how these things eventuate. But I also wanted to share, when you watch the show, I mean, for me personally, it seems like Dustin's quite a meek sort of dude or quiet guy, but then you watch get onto his Instagram feed and he's doing all these amazing bike tricks and things like that. So we'll get to some of that too, but let's get him in here and start thinking properly. Hey, mate.
Hey, Brad.
How you going?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, thanks for coming. Sorry about the delay there. Yeah, I don't normally do two shows in one day, and it just sometimes it just takes time putting together like the artwork and trying to share it across, do all the posting on social media.
Trust me, I know all about it.
Yeah. So I guess, look, for people who don't know who you are, obviously I've given a bit of an intro, but how about we'll start out, maybe just tell everybody who you are and I guess what you are doing currently work-wise, and then we'll kind of, I guess wind the clock back after that.
Sure. My name is Dustin Lee. I am a videographer for Gary Vaynerchuck, aka Gary Vee, VEE. I live in New Jersey, in the U.S., right outside New York City, and I think I answered everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, how long have you been working with Gary?
About like almost 2.5 years now.
Okay. And like earlier than that, so I mean, look, I'm always fascinated by people's, their sort of backstory. So it looks to me that you were doing some sort of like IT work or something like that when you first sort of came out.
Yeah, maybe 4 years before I started working for Gary, I was at a insurance company doing applications developing, but I have zero, like literally zero computer science background. So
Right.
it was just a job that I got through a friend that kind of misled me into thinking that it's easy, coding that
Right.
is.
Yep.
And I realized quickly that I was horrible at it. Oh, Brad, I think I'm the only one on the show now.
Oh no, it's right. I just
Okay.
sometimes mix the camera
Oh, okay,
angles up.
gotcha. But sorry, I lost. As I
Oh,
was
good.
saying,
Yeah, you're working in an insurance company.
yeah,
Oh,
I was
doing
doing
development.
yep for coding for an insurance company. I don't know how to code, or I learned how. They taught me how to code, but I just realized quickly that I was horrible at it. I wasn't happy at it. It was one of those things where you are at a job where it just feels like you have no real definition there, and it's just that I think that's one of the worst things that can happen to someone that's like just not knowing what you're doing there, what your
Mm.
position really is, like having no real definition of who you are, and that really drove me crazy while I was there. And
Yeah.
and then in 2016, I was just watching a lot of content. Like first, I discovered Gary that year. He was on our local radio station and just talking, normal Gary stuff, where like just following your passion type of stuff. And then I was just like, okay, that was just kind of like in my head. And then I just started seeing like other pieces of content where it just was like it felt like a sign for me to try to do something that I am actually more passionate about.
Yep.
rather than just focusing on trying to like make money as like
Yeah.
as a programmer.
Yeah.
Even though that like like as a horrible programmer, it was really bad for me because like it was a real situation of like fake it till you make it type of thing where it's just like I was pretending every single day like knowing what I was doing when I really had no idea what I was doing. And
Yeah.
now it's like the complete opposite where like I mean I'm still like not a super expert as far as video goes, but like it's just I'm able to learn it, I'm able to like consume it better, and I am learning all the time, and it's just a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And Chef Blake, who's here, he's an Aussie guy, massive Gary Vee fan. G'day, Chef. He's oh look, I'll be fair. I'll pull up his screen. He's saying no excuses to me for being like, thanks for that, mate. So yeah, look, he's also really keen on videos. That's why I kind of thought of him as well. He's kind of been learning a lot about the video space, and he's even started putting out some videos on the video production sort of side of things. And I've been on that journey myself for probably 18 months, I suppose. Like I was trying to do video production full time and sort of set up my own agency here on the Sunshine Coast. And officially that business still exists, Engage in Ear. So anybody, if anybody wants some sort of assistance with video stuff, but then yeah, now I've kind of really shifted gears hard to go after setting up this streaming service, Flicks for Good. And as part of that, I just started doing a live stream each day to, I guess, put myself out there and learn the tools. But yeah, as you know, it's pretty complicated. Like I'm in StreamYard now, as you know, and I believe that's what you guys are using at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fun to be on the other side for once.
Yeah, it's good. It's a bit funny trying to work the controls as well as like have conversation. But I mean, to be honest, I found StreamYard to be pretty good. Like it is relatively plug and play, but I just feel like maybe ecamm Live might give me a little bit more flexibility. Did you guys look into other products?
Sort of. So when we first did Tea with Gary Vee, like all I knew from like that I've seen was Zoom. So I would just pretty much do a Zoom, but then have a display capture set up through OBS, and then we would stream it out through Restream, which is like another just streaming service that kind of like distributes it to other platforms.
Yeah.
I never liked the quality of it, and I still don't. I mean, there goes my Zoom sponsor, but I really don't like Zoom.
Yeah.
I just don't like the interface. I don't like the quality, the sound quality. I just don't like it.
Yeah, right.
So then I found out about StreamYard through one of Gary's followers. He just DM'd me. He said, shout out to Ben Barber. He said, yeah, you should check out StreamYard. It's a lot easier to use. It's pretty self-explanatory. I was like, all right. So then he gave me like a tour, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And then I presented it to Gary, and of course, Gary being Gary, he just loves reading comments. So that is the biggest thing that he liked about this platform.
Right.
So we stuck with it. We've had other offers from other video like streaming platforms. They were like kind of in the beta stage. One of them was way too expensive that it just wasn't worth it. And then the other one was a little bit more technical where it was just hard to navigate, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I think this is good.
Brad's saying my audio is a little quiet. How's this, Brad? Or Blake, I'm sorry.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yeah, that's definitely louder. A little bit of crackling. I thought it was actually not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, it's the other thing that I'm really keen to talk to you about is your BMX riding, because it's pretty it's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So I'm going to pull up Tempt Fate here and attempt to pull up some of these Instagram. I mean, some other platform. Feed here. So how long have you been riding bikes? I'll try to navigate your way here.
So I'm 34. I think I started when I was 12.
12, wow.
Yeah, so 22 years.
Let's have a look at this. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my first time I pulled a backflip.
That's awesome.
That was definitely a relief that I didn't get murdered.
Did you say that was your first one?
Yeah, that was the first time I pulled it or attempted it really, because
Yeah.
I kept practicing it into a foam pit, which is like more
Yeah.
like a training thing, and then
Yep.
that was the first one I actually pulled on a ramp where I could actually ride away from.
Nice.
This was in 2015.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, that's right.
I was like just learning that trick, and I obviously didn't learn it very well, and
Yeah. Oh
tried.
my goodness.
Yeah, that was one of the injuries that really was. That one really scared me because
Yeah.
I felt a shock through my entire body where I really thought like for a second I might have gotten paralyzed. Like I got
Oh my
scared.
goodness.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that went right up my tailbone, and I felt that for like 3 years after that.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's hectic. It's yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's you can't help but laugh, can you? I know you feel a little
Yeah,
bit bad,
no,
but
no, it's
I
all
mean,
good. I
obviously
mean, I'm
you're
alive. Yeah, I'm alive, so it's all good. Every time I
yeah,
fall and I walk away, I'm like just relieved that I'm not more hurt. Yeah,
that's
this was.
it. Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
thanks.
This reminds me so much of Tony Hawk. This actual
The video game.
bit of the video game, the old school Tony Hawk skateboarding video game.
Yeah.
There was another one that I thought was really fun, actually. This one you didn't send me, but I found, and I just thought, oh, this is great.
Yeah, this was one of my first videos. It was when the T-Rex costume was like a really big hit at the time. I think around 2016, and I
So
didn't see
good.
anyone. Yeah, I didn't see anyone do it on a bike yet, so I decided to try it.
Love that. Yeah, so good. I like it when you do that rail slide down the stairs and the T Rex is kind of its head doing
Just wobbling.
to the bob.
Yeah.
And I also only this morning came across some of your other Halloween costumes, which I thought were pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
Uh,
I always try to dress up as a social media platform every year, or some kind of social media app.
yeah, maybe we should find one of those if I can. There was one of them. You were dressed as what do they call it? What's the thing where you swipe left and right?
Oh, Tinder.
Tinder. Yeah, I feel now I feel like Gary. If you watch this, empathise with just the age bracket. It just that was not a thing. Like you definitely there was no option of swiping left and right. That was for sure. I definitely got swiped away by a few women in bars, or just they turn your back on you and you get a pretty distinct signal that they're not keen. So, and are you sponsored by Merrit? Is that right?
Yeah. So the company started with one of my best friends and his one of his friends. They started together, so it's that's how I kind of got my in. It was because he's my best friend, so he just hooks me up with like parts and stuff where
Nice.
I don't have to pay for anything, and I'm really grateful for that because BMX parts are really expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sweet. It looked like you got a new bike, not all that that long ago. Is this now? This was another one that caught me actually. Is this you doing a child acting piece?
Which one?
This one.
No, my friend always thought like it's from a Jackie Chan movie called Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh yes, I love
And
that.
my friend always said, "You look just like that kid that was in that movie," and I was like, "No, I don't." And then I looked at him like, "Actually, I kind of do."
A
So then,
little bit.
yeah. So then I always just like troll. I'm just trolling people, pretty much saying like, "Yeah, that time I was with Jackie Chan," but that's not really me.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought it was actually it
Yeah.
looked like Tony Danza, that guy. Do you live in New York or whereabouts do you live?
I always lived in New Jersey, born and raised. But
Yeah,
like I said, I live right outside New York City. So uh, when we were going into the office before the COVID, I would just commute. I would take the train from my house, and it's like 55 minutes door to door.
yeah, yeah, nice. Yeah, my wife and I went on a holiday in 2010 to the States, and we spent a
Oh,
year. No, so not a year. We spent we spent a week. We spent 1 week, like going checking out New York, but we stayed in Jersey. Like it
oh
was
yeah. Where?
before Airbnb took off, but it was the same kind of thing.
Oh,
So we
nice.
kind of had this little sort of studio apartment there,
Awesome.
which is pretty good. I don't know where. Am I like still going in the right direction to find that Halloween costume?
Oh, I think you passed it actually.
Did I?
Yeah.
I think I'll abandon the ship on that. But anyway, basically, Dustin like had like this big cardboard box, I guess, that had the frame of Tinder and all the other bits that were there, and then there's some other ones like YouTube and things like that. And so he's like the picture,
Yeah.
inside the thing, which
Yeah.
looks funny, but probably be quite awkward as far as navigating your way around for the evening.
Yeah. It was that was interesting because that was in New York City and nobody else dressed up that year. I was like, wow, I feel like such a jerk right now.
Yeah. Oh, hey there, Andy San. How you going?
Hey
Good
Andy,
morning from
Japan.
Japan.
What time is it over there?
Yeah, what time is it in Japan?
What time is it over by you, Brad?
Here it is 10:39 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get the swing of navigating the way, in terms of the time zones and stuff like that. It's a bit confusing lining it up with people in America and Canada.
Oh,
So talk to me about, I mean, and this is probably the stuff that people are always going to be asking you about, the experience with, I guess, working with Gary Vee and what it's like working for Vayner Media. When you guys were in the office, how many people were in the New York office?
in the New York one, I think there's about 500 or 600 people there. Maybe just 500. I'm not sure. It was a
Yeah,
lot. I specifically only work for Gary. Like I just make content for him,
okay,
where like 90% of the rest of the company does stuff for clients, um, like real companies like Chase and like Budweiser and stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, I just work for Gary alone, or like not alone, just for him for the most part. Like I
yeah,
do video editing, his streaming stuff, and then the streamyard stuff. But then once we saw the success of Tea with Gary Vee, we started applying that same concept to other clients. So for a while, I was doing this thing for Sabra where it was through StreamYard, where we would have like pretty like amateurish like cooks that were trying to do like social stuff. They would cook dishes using Sabra hummus, and we would stream it, and then just have an audience interact with them while they were cooking, and kind of like learning from how they were cooking stuff. So
yeah.
it was cool. It was a cool experience. But yeah, I've that's pretty much what the company is doing. Like most of the company is doing stuff for clients while I'm doing content for Gary.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you replace D Rock?
No, he's still there.
Okay.
He's just he does mainly like before COVID started. D Rock was pretty much the main guy traveling with Gary all the time, traveling with him while filming and stuff like that. And D Rock still edits, but he's also doing. I think he's doing more stuff with the client side of things. I think I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
He's really busy though, so I think we're kind of just like shifting a little bit. But yeah, D Rock's still there.
Yeah, yeah. And have you? I guess I would imagine, but working solely with Gary, you would have had a reasonable opportunity to sort of get to know him over the last few years. What's been, I guess, what's that experience been like, and how do you think it differs to perhaps the outside person's perspective of what he's like?
I think there's like a weird misconception that everyone thinks Gary's like crazy and loud and wild all the time, but he's really not like that. He's just super focused for the most part when he's around us, like in the office. He's not mean. Like he's definitely not mean. Like he's always nice, and he really does have like a lot of empathy and like a lot of confidence, and it's just interesting to watch because like we obviously we're like Team Gary is basically we're like a media agency just for Gary himself, and we have to also we see like we're kind of like we see stuff when people are like talking shit about him and stuff like that, and we send it to him to see if he wants to like address it at all, and he just says like, no, it's fine, just let him be. So like he's really is the person he says he is. It's like even more so than most people probably see, just because like it's really fascinating. Like he's such a he's a special human being. Like I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. You, I guess, would have had the opportunity to be in the room and probably meet some of the different people who've come in over the years. Who's been your favourite guest that he's had?
I haven't seen too many really. Like anytime someone was there that I wanted to meet, I was like, I left early. I'm like, oh crap. But I mean, not directly through Gary, but being at the company, probably ASAP Ferg. I think that was really cool, just because he was a lot like I wasn't sure what he would be like, but he was actually a lot cooler than I thought. I haven't really met any other celebrities. I mean, recently, or right before COVID, I think we had Dr. Mark Hyman. He's like, well, I'm like kind of into nutrition and stuff like that. So I started following him after he came into the office because I found him really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I came at a weird time where like it was a lot of people that I didn't know. Like that's the only thing. Like I'm not very well educated in like who's who. So like there's a lot of times where people came in and I'm like, who's that? And
Yeah.
they're like, how do you not know who that is? I'm like, I don't know. I'm dumb.
Oh, look, no, he has plenty of people that I don't know like who they are. I mean, because he's got his finger on the pulse of what's happening, like in social media, and knows who some of those people are, like Charlie D'Amelio and people like that. The Andy San is saying, I've been following Gary since 2008 when I found an article comparing him to Tim Ferriss, and he was in the comments responding to people. Yeah, I love Tim Ferriss as well, and I was actually listening to Tim's podcast for quite a while before coming across Gary too, I think. And then Andy San also said his Web 2.0 is legendary. What sold me on him?
Yeah, that was in 2008.
Yeah,
that's definitely a classic Gary video.
Yeah. Yeah, I love his style. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think because I'm, probably a similar age bracket to Gary. I'm 41, and in the late 90s and the early 2000s, the corporate space just was quite, and still is to a degree. I think Australia's maybe a bit more laid back, and particularly Brisbane, which is the major city where I'm near, as opposed to Sydney. But it's not sort of quite that real strict, straight-laced kind of suit and tie, just unnecessary formal language. I think Twitter and some other companies like that, when they came out and just spoke like normal people, were really refreshing. And now it's almost kind of comical to look back and go, well, why? Like, how did it get into this situation where people felt like they had to have this real, just talking way too much jargon as opposed to just talk like normal people. So, what about any funny stories that things that it seems like a sort of place where there's probably lots of laughter and plenty of interesting things happening on a regular basis.
There is. I can't think of any because like it's so weird. Like I feel like I've been there. Like this, like the amount of experiences I've been through. Like I've only been there 2.5 years, but I feel like I've been there for 7 years because just so many things are happening all the time, and my brain just my hard drive in my brain is just full. Where like sometimes I got to delete files out of my brain and I just don't remember things. But yeah, I can't think of anything in particular. The only time is like we were in a meeting once with Gary, and he he always says these weird sexual innuendos, but not meaning it. So he says like, "I want you to pound me hard on this," and then someone started giggling, and then he like looked over, he's like, "What?" Because I said pound me hard, and he's like, "Yeah," and then everyone just started laughing. But yeah, he's always saying those weird phrases like "pound me hard" or I don't know, just funny things that could be taken the wrong context, and it's just funny.
Yeah. No, that's just entertaining. Blake's asking how long you've been training Muay Thai, because that was another thing I actually only found that this morning as well, and I was like, "Whoa, this is some hectic. This is some pretty hectic action when you're doing the 34 kicks on each leg, I think it was." Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that was on my birthday because we have to do birthday kicks at the gym. But
Yeah, right.
I was training. I started training in 2007, but not consistently. I went through a knee injury while I was training. Like I was preparing to go like train for a fight, and with Muay Thai comes a lot of running,
Mm.
and I was running incorrectly, where I was really like hitting my heel stomping a lot, and then just hyperextending my knees and just completely destroyed my knees from running a lot. So then I had to stop, let my knees heal a bit, and then I started again, and then just my knees kept hurting. So then I just took a longer hiatus, and then started coming back maybe like 2 years ago. But now with the gyms closed because of COVID, haven't been training as much. But yeah, since 2007, so what's that, like 13 years ish on and
Mm.
off?
Mm. Have you done any fighting? Like, do you fight or more for fitness?
No, I wanted to when I first started. Like my original intent was to fight, but then it just became more of like just for fitness, really. I still would like to fight. It's just really a commitment. It's really tough to like go to fight training.
Mm.
You have to like pretty much give up everything else, and I just don't know if that's really worth it for me,
Yeah.
especially at my age. I'm just kind of like I still would love to. It's just it's not really on the top of my priority list.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You can only do so much as you get older. Often you start to have more commitments and other things like that, and it gets really hard. Like I want to, I probably think about it on a weekly basis, but I started to learn guitar maybe a year or two ago. I always regretted not learning guitar, and then it was like a year or two ago, I was just like, you know what? Like, what's the point of like going through my whole life regretting not learning guitar? Why don't I just
Yeah,
suck it up and
for
just
sure.
start? Which sounds really basic when you say it, but for some reason it felt like some kind of revelation at the time. But yeah, I'm keen to do that, and I think it's really good for you to have at least a few different kind of um, pursuits.
Definitely.
I saw you doing something ridiculous this morning on the BMX. Actually, you were doing like a rail slide on the edge of like where there's massive like precipice between these two buildings.
Yeah,
At first, I thought you were going to like jump across
jump to
both
my
of them,
death.
and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Yeah, so that seemed a bit on the sketchy
Yeah.
side of things.
Yeah, I saw that building. They were doing construction over there, and I noticed that I-beam was like right there, and I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to grind. And it was really low for me. Like it wasn't the actual grind itself isn't difficult. It's more just the possibility of falling over. But I knew I wasn't gonna fall over, so I
Yeah.
just figured this is probably like the only opportunity I'm gonna get to do this because it's construction and it's not gonna last very long. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it now before I regret it later. Be like, oh crap, I should have done it then. But so yeah, I'm happy I did it.
Yeah. Now, I guess perception of you, when I sort of seen you on the show, was that you're a pretty kind of meek and mild sort of dude. But then obviously some of these pursuits are quite extreme. Do you find that people are often surprised? Like, is that a common thing that people, just aren't I guess, expecting to find out
Yeah.
some of the stuff you do?
Yeah, people say that all the time. They're like, "Oh, damn, I didn't know you rode BMX," or "Oh, damn, I didn't know you did Muay Thai," or "Oh, damn, I didn't expect you to do that." Just yeah, but I get it because like I'm very timid when it comes to Gary. I don't know why. Like, I think just his presence like is I could tell. I mean, everyone that comes on the show is always like, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous," and I understand. Even I am still like when I'm talking to him one on one, I still don't feel 100% like he is my boss, you know. So it's hard to be like talk to him like a friend. I mean, he is my friend too. It's just there's still that more of a work relationship to me, in my opinion, where and just it's just him because it's Gary Vee, so it's like it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
like he's just accomplished so much, and I feel like I've nowhere near that level, and it's just feels very intimidating, even though like he's not doing that on purpose. It's just more me, like me and my own weird insecurity, I guess. Um, Something I got to definitely work on more, where because I know, like I've had one-on-ones with Gary where like I really told him like how I was feeling and stuff, and he was just super cool with it and super like happy with me still, and yeah, like he's such a forgiving and like non judgmental person, and it's just hard for to me to believe sometimes, I guess, because like I said, like there's no one really out there that like that not that I've ever met, so it's just kind of strange to me sometimes where I I just feel so weird around him sometimes still just cuz like I don't know, it's just really weird.
Yeah, no, I could imagine it'd probably, be a little bit surreal. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Lemonade. Hello, says hello, Brad,
Hey
Dustin,
Lemonade.
Tim. Lemonade.
It's a
I
good
just
name.
love some of these names. Yeah, I had a guy on. I don't know whether you saw it. 'Cause I know I've shared a few of the shows that I've done, but there was a guy from South Africa who goes by the title of That Damn Vandal, and he does out like really cool graffiti murals and artwork, and he's like painted a bunch of cars, like Lambos and stuff like that. People have had done. It's just cool. But yeah, when he was on, I guess all like the kind of graffiti art kind of crew people were there, so there was all sorts of weird and wacky handles at that stage. Lemonade, where are you? Where are you from, Lemonade? That was something else I wanted to talk to you about. Actually, was
Sure.
do you find because I mean you've got a decent following on Instagram yourself?
Hmm.
Do you find it, I guess, difficult to figure out who's sincere and not sincere? Like, I imagine you probably have a lot of people trying to, I guess, think they could smooth their way in with you to then get to Gary, or like, do you have that sort of challenge of figuring out, who's, I guess, interested in, just what you're doing and who's maybe connecting for that purpose?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot. I mean, sometimes it's very obvious where it's like someone has some. There have been times where people are just like put me on tea with Gary Vee, like not even like hello, just like says put me on. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what kind of intro is that? But
Yeah.
for the most part, people are just really nice. I haven't really had too much and like weird things or anything like that happen. But I also totally understand that people are just using me technically. Like I get it because like even Gary says to do it, like get close to people that know the people, and
Mm.
so it makes sense. It's just and yeah, I'm always glad to help or open to helping. It's just I can't always like Gary, like people think like Gary's just sitting around or something, like waiting to do podcasts for people or something like that, but it's not true. Like Gary's just so busy. I don't even have time to like I feel guilty to even like ask him for a couple minutes because I've seen his Google Calendar schedule and it's just insane. Like he's literally booked for 16 hours and it's like what the hell? Like he's just fitting in so much things every single day and
Yeah.
I don't even feel like for me, like in a selfish way, I don't even want to like ask him if he can give me like 15 minutes of his time. So it's gonna be
Mm,
hard for me to do that for someone else, especially if I don't even know who they are.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing. Like I really wish I could. Like I want everyone that asks, "Oh, can you put me in tea with Gary Vee?" And I'm like, I would love to. Like I really would. It's just you have to also realize there's like thousands of people doing the same exact thing, so it's hard
Mm,
to just say yes to everybody. Like it's just, and we have such a limit of like what we put like 7 people on a show, so it's like it's hard to just work all that out. So I
yeah.
hope people, if you are listening to this and you are trying to get on the show, to just try to bear with me a little bit. Like it's tough.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's yeah, it's an interesting thing because I think in some ways, like I think to myself, like, uh, yeah, it's a bit of a case of like, be careful what you wish for, because I've seen people go on before, and I guess they had one thing in their mind they thought that they were going to talk about, and then Gary's deciphered his way to like something else within them, and then they end up like having like there was that one guy, I feel bad now, I can't remember his name, Coach Icon Davis, I think it was. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
he ended up doing the whole show, like half an hour was the one dude. Like Gary spent that time with him, which was really like nice. And like I've my appreciation factor, I think, for Gary over this sort of COVID period and the Tea with Gary V chats, and I can see how much he wants to build people up, try and really smash to pieces the whole comparison thing. And I agree, like I hate comparison, and for me, pretentiousness is probably my thing. Like if I ever have a chance to, I guess, be in a position that's in any way even remotely close to Gary, where I have an influence over at least some people, pretentiousness is probably my big thing. Is both from the perspective of people, I guess, thinking that they're better than other people, or putting that across, and then educating people also. Like often it's just these people are actually ultimately insecure themselves, and they find some weird thing like the fact that they have money, so and maybe their parents give them plenty of cash to play with, and so then they use that like to sort of make themselves feel better, or to make somebody else feel worse, which is a pretty shit way of
Yeah.
going about making yourself feel better. So what's on your like horizon? Like I guess when you talk about having those chats with Gary, do you guys do like personal development plans or anything like I guess to similar to that, like hey, where are you wanting to head to, and how can we kind of I guess help you to learn and grow and develop and have that as an opportunity?
Um, we haven't really had too many of those conversations, to be honest. I really do just like live every day, day by day,
Yeah,
and just whatever happens, happens kind of thing.
yeah,
Like even this, like so even before COVID, I'm sure you're familiar with Ask Gary Vee, the show.
yes,
Originally, that was Seth on our team that was handling all that, and I was kind of just helping out with just manning one camera. Then he decided to transition to Vayner Talent, a different division of Vayner Media or Vayner X.
yeah,
And then he's like, "Okay, you're gonna start doing these now." I'm like, "What? I don't know how to do this." And he's like, "It's easy." I'm like, "Okay." So then he just gave me like a 2-second crash course, and then I'm like, "All right." And then he just kind of like threw me into it, and then so I just had to like figure things out. So that's really like what it's like for me at least, where we face something and then I just try to figure it out as fast as I can. Um, at least that's kind of what's going on. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I don't know. Like I've never really been a big fan of back. People used to say when you'd go for a job interview, "What's your 5-year plan?" And I hated that question because
Yeah, I hate that
I,
too.
my honest answer, because I want to be honest, so I'm not comfortable lying. But my honest answer, if someone asked me that, would probably be, well, I plan to work here for 2 or 3 years and gain some experience and then use that as a stepping stone to work somewhere else, And some people have the maturity to actually accept that that's the reality, of what tends to happen. But other people just respond really badly to it. And they just think, okay, well, if you're not going to sell your soul to my company, then you're not worthwhile. Hang on, someone's saying they've got to go. Oh, the sign, Andy. Got to bounce. Good seeing you, Dustin. Can't wait to hear your IIGU podcast episode. And then
Thanks,
Lemonade, I've found out, is actually a friend of ours who also goes by Seeds 015. You probably would have maybe seen her posting. And she's asking a Pokemon, which is a good segue. Thank you, Seeds, or / now Lemonade. Before I call you Lemonade, Pokemon. So this all came about, I'm assuming, because of Gary and his fanaticism with collecting cards and flipping cards.
Yep. I'm pretty sure, like, when we were still in the office, he was doing like Pokemon card collecting still, but it was like he wasn't really talking about it so much, but he was definitely like looking into it. And then I remember Lou on our team was like, yeah, Pokemon is definitely the move right now. And I took it like lightly, where I was like, oh, I'm going to look into that, but I didn't make a move or anything. And then once Gary kept pushing for sports cards on Tea with Gary Vee, and he kept saying, Dustin, you buy any cards yet? I'm like, no. Like, buy cards. I'm like, all right. So then he just kept pushing for that. So then I started looking into Pokemon, especially, I was going to originally just buy one of those LeBron James rookie cards at the time, but
yeah,
it was $7,000 and I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And
wow.
My girlfriend did not think that was a good idea.
Yes.
So then but she loves Pokemon, so I was like, I'm gonna start buying Pokemon cards. And she's like, yeah, do that. So that was like where we were both kind of on board about it.
Yes.
And so then Gary was like, yeah, buy Pokemon cards. So then I started looking into it. I just started doing a little research on YouTube, just like how to tell the difference between Pokemon cards or something like that. It was a really basic search, and just came across a video, found it, watched it, looked at so my girlfriend has cards, so I looked at them and I was like, okay, these are not the ones that are worth a lot. So then just kept going down the YouTube rabbit hole of looking for more like Pokemon card information. Finally felt comfortable where like I really understood the difference of what cards are valuable.
Yeah.
So then started going on eBay, found my first card I found was like a PSA 10 first edition 1999 Squirtle. I just like Squirtle. I like turtles, I guess, in general.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was going to be my first buy. I bought it for about $600 at the time. Now they're selling for very close to $2,500. So that pretty much like quadrupled in price, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing that people were getting into it more. The prices were going up, so I started trying to move quickly and started buying whatever I could. But still felt very skeptical about like what I was doing. But then once I started seeing the actual market pricing going up, I was like, okay, something crazy is happening here. And just bought a bunch, as many as I could, and then started studying which ones I liked.
Yeah.
We started rewatching the show on Netflix, the cartoon from 1999 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And just starting to do research about like what characters had a lot of airtime or what characters seemed like they were like likable or cool, and started trying to buy those types of cards because I figured that most people that are getting in at this time are probably very similar to me, where like they just want characters that they either grew up having that card or just like from either the show or the video game or something like that. So yeah, I figured I'm pretty much the market, so I'm just gonna try to like think kind of like how a newbie would want to purchase them. And I think I haven't made all the best choices. Like there's some cards I've bought that haven't gone up at all. So it's definitely a learning experience, but I'm also not like down to zero at all, knock on wood. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think it's pretty interesting. Hey, Michael. G'day, Vanna. So good to see you. And um, who else? Somebody else just came in. Oh, just maybe I'm thinking of Michael. Michael's asking about the bike and tricking. So how long have you been doing that?
So I'm 35 right now. I've been doing it since 12, on and off. Like not the entire whatever that math is, like 23 years or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Just yeah, there was a lot of on and off. I wasn't really committed to it. Like I was like certain years, then changed my mind. Did try to do like soccer, and then that I hated that. Went back to BMX. Then I started just trying to like hang out and be with my friends, and then but then I stopped doing that. Went back to BMX. I've been jumping back and forth like for the past 22 years or whatever it is. So
Yeah. 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 So I'm with the Pokemon. I mean, are you mostly doing Pokemon because you like from a financial perspective? Is the goal to, I guess, yeah, try and get things and then pick the right time to sell them and just sort of it is a little bit of fun as well, I suppose, a bit of
yeah,
a hobby.
yeah,
But yeah, is it more from the finance side?
yeah. I mean, I did it for yeah. Honestly, I did it as like more of an investor point of view than like a collector point of view. I was originally going into it as an investor point of view, but then I started really liking it. Like, not gonna lie, like I was like, oh, I like that card. I like this card. They look cool, and then started more going towards collecting. But I don't know if that in my case that was a great idea because I was starting to buy cards that weren't necessarily going to go up in value, and instead of like tripling down on like a Pikachu card where like it's like I know if I have like 20 Pikachus I could sell them all.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I'm going now, where I'm kind of focusing more on what people will want in the future versus what I want, like,
Yeah.
because I'm not trying to collect every single card because that's going to just cost so much money. Maybe one day, like if I could afford it, but yeah, for now I'm just focusing on like the top players, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good. I like the fact that I guess it doesn't just have to be based on sport. Because I was not a traditional sports person. Ball
Same.
sports were terrible. I'm terrible at ball sports, and I love balanced sports, and even to this day, So for me, it was kind of water skiing and wakeboarding and skateboarding
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I tried kite surfing, and I really wish that was caught on video because my sister and brother-in-law lived on this property that was on the water and it had like just the perfect conditions. It had this big flat sand sort of area, and then the water went out quite sort of shallow. You want to when you're learning, try doing it with the wind going towards the shore so you don't get blown out to the ocean. But also, I guess past where the sand dunes were, there were the houses, and then past the houses there were the power lines, right? So you didn't want to get
Oh
like a
man.
gust suck you and fly off into and it's just amazing the amount of power that the kite can produce, like all of a sudden, and particularly if you yank on one side, the faster it moves, the more power it creates.
Yeah,
And
that's scary.
yeah, I got yanked out of the water like by probably a couple of meters, then smashed into the water. And then because I'm like then part of your natural inclination is to pull on this bar to try and help yourself, out, and then I think I made the kite lurch and then I went flying out of the water again and then ended up getting dragged on the sand. And every so often, like I'm trying to get the kite above me to stop. And then it would go, and my brother-in-law was trying to come and dive on me basically to try and hold me. And I got dragged across the sand and literally got grazes on my hips, like my board shorts got pulled halfway down. It was just like one of those things that, some stupid, comical thing you'd see in a movie. It's just like these old people nearby were just like,
Oh
just
man.
having a great time.
Could have been
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, could have been a lot worse. Yeah, well, that's it's just crazy stuff. But I love that sort of thing. Yeah, but ball sports is just a sad state of affairs. So what? Back to the cards. Like, so what other things are out there? Like, because I really know nothing, but it does intrigue me, particularly if you can increase your dollars so significantly. What other kinds of things are people trading outside the mainstream sports?
I'm not sure, to be honest, because like I'm only focusing on Pokemon. That's all I know. Like, but I've heard rumors of wrestling cards, um, like Mike Tyson rookie cards. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I've seen Tony Hawk sports cards, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So I think there is a possibility of all that stuff too. But yeah, as I'm not super educated on that, so I don't want to be like, go buy that stuff right now. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say that, but yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if before you do anything, you should definitely do some research on what you're, whatever it is that you're trying to get into, because like
Yeah.
if you don't do that, you could be overpaying for a lot of things, and I don't want people to do that because I'm very cheap, so I don't want you to spend money on things that you're not really sure about.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely do some research, and you'd be surprised how much information is on YouTube. There's
Oh,
so much.
yeah. YouTube's crazy. Like, I mean, I love it. I watch heaps of stuff. Maybe too much, but I do. I do sort of have a bit more time, I guess. Yeah, I broke my back a number of years ago, and as a result of that, it means that I just certain parts of my body don't function as well as they could or the way they're supposed to, and part of that just means that, yeah, without going into too much detail, ultimately I'm in the bathroom longer and probably more often than most people would be. And so the flip side of that, though, is that, you know, I sort of try to turn everything to a positive if I can, and so I use that time to then watch, you know, YouTube stuff. So that's how I kind of end up digesting so much of Gary's content, or, you know, trying to keep up with other people are doing, you know, watching some of your videos and what have you. I don't know whether you saw me commenting, but because there's so many comments going through on Gary's feed, but when Gary was going to do his 12-hour live on Twitch, no, not Twitch, sorry, TikTok. And then we had the issue with Australia where we couldn't get in for some reason.
Yeah.
And then you were there. I really felt for you, but it was kind of interesting to watch because you were just like, okay, look, guys, go off here. Seriously. And then people were just not leaving, and then more people were coming. You're like, no, what are you doing? Go somewhere else.
That was a very hectic day.
Yeah. Because so you're using Restream. This is just a little question. So with Restream, so I had set that up to try and do with ecamm. Do you have to do the Restream chat to be able to get the comments come back in and see like the avatars? Does that work for you guys?
Restream or StreamYard?
Restream. So you're using Restream. I think they have like a thing called Restream chat. I don't know. I just tried doing it a little while ago, and it didn't seem to work for me. Like
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like we were using it basically just as a distribution website, basically.
Yep.
I didn't really look into that. I should look into that just in case, because then, yeah, that might be interesting.
Oh, here's Coach Jay saying, "Oh, this is where everyone's at."
What's up, Coach?
Hey, Coach Jay. Good to see you here. Yeah, there are quite a few of the Coach Jay crew here, and I've just loved actually that component of getting to know all these people all over the world. It's really fun, and
yeah, it's cool.
You know, I think like you're able to get closer. Find I guess your tribe easier nowadays. You know, you can find like-minded people, and particularly a lot of the people who've spun off the side of Gary Vee and the Tea with Gary Vee show, particularly. A lot of those guys, like with Coach Jay and his community, I guess there's quite a lot of crossover, and there's lots of people that are all trying to improve themselves. They're quite, you know, so there's a lot of negativity out there. Like, and I cop it from people all the time, like going, "What the hell are you doing? You've lost your mind. You know, you had a good career. Like, why have you just thrown all that away?" But I just think happiness is just so much more important, you know. And you've got to try and also if you feel like a call to a bigger purpose, like that, you've got something to do. Coach Jay, I've been on here 30 minutes and don't know comments were here. Oh, okay. I don't know where is he coming from? He's coming from
YouTube.
From YouTube. Yeah, that's been a little bit of a transition for me, trying to get across like from Instagram Live to doing YouTube. So I assume somebody else handles the booking of the guests as far as the people that Gary's talking to.
Okay.
Do you don't have to source the people, like as in the people who are going to come on the show? Do you find those people and tee that up, or has Gary got a booking agent or someone?
For the guests, you mean?
Yeah, for the guests.
So we have just people come on from, or like we have people submit their questions through his texting platform. I know in Australia you can't text him. So the other, like that was the original method, because I figured that if people are on his community thing, his texting platform, they're just super Gary fans. So I wanted to get those people on, but then I didn't realize at the time that it didn't work internationally. So our second option was just tweet it out on Twitter with hashtag Tea with Gary Vee, and that has been how we've been choosing people also. So it's like 50-50, where we pick half from the texting community and half from Twitter. And sometimes, like, I've seen people just tweet, "Hey Gary, I'll rip my leg off to be on Tea with Gary Vee," and then Gary replies like, let's get this guy on. I'm like, it's crazy. Like, he's really paying attention on Twitter, like a lot, to like way more than I expected.
Yeah. Well, I think that's. I mean, it's part of his genesis story, really, isn't it? You know, just putting in the mileage, and he's always talking about patience and I guess time and persistence. It is tricky. One thing I will say with Twitter that is not ideal. This is a little bit of feedback. I feel like because it's got to go out to the whole world, right? So you kind of trying to come up with some way to put yourself on the radar to then get onto the show to have a chat with him. And sometimes I feel like I'm sort of bearing my soul, you know, embarrassingly in front of like whoever else is around the place, you know.
I feel
put
you.
some pretty sincere sort of stuff on there. Because he used to really be big on, I guess, people who are self-aware and self-awareness and being grounded and things like that, which is, I feel like, something I've had, you know, for a long time, which is probably thanks to my parents, you know, thanks Mum and Dad for that. It's a very thankless job being a parent. So now what's on the schedule for this week? What can we expect to be coming out? Anything exciting?
I'm not sure. I think I don't think we're having any episodes until October, to be honest. Like, Gary's just super busy. And I think he's just having a lot of like just client meetings that he has to handle.
Yeah.
So T is kind of on being postponed for a little bit, but I know he definitely loves the idea, the concept of it. Like, he loves speaking to people, and he loves reading the comments. And yeah, we're definitely going to keep it going.
Yeah.
The only thing is, it's probably going to stay this same format, because I don't think we're going to be in the office for a while. But we're just going to keep going, like, and then until Gary says so. But
nice. Coach Jay, I'm just we're coming to the last minute here, so I have to wrap up. Coach wanted to know if you've done your push-ups today.
I did not, Coach.
Oh, well, there's still time.
Yeah, there is.
This. Hey, Dustin, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you and the patience, and I've been enjoying, I guess, getting to know you online, and we'll continue to do so. And I'd like to see what you're doing with your antics and what have you. So I appreciate you coming to talk to us.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody who's here. If you're not already someone who's subscribing, liking, getting the notification bell, please do that, because otherwise there's no way I can compete with the algorithm. I really do need that support. Love you all. I thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you guys soon.